Our students, fingers, welcome back to another video. So this is what we are going to be working with. I took the liberty of drawing it up real quick so that I can save some time. Okay, so I've done a figure branding his weapons, and I'm going to eventually dress this figure, but first I'm going to show you how I got this part in case you have somebody that uses weapons. So you could actually do swords. One sword could go this way, one sword could be going up. There's a number of, different weapons that you could use in this position. Or if you just wanted to use a fist, you could use that. Maybe the energy is coming from this fist and he's blasting from that fist. So there's a number of different things you can do just by tweaking them. But for now, let me show you how to do the body, and then we will go from there. But first I have to zoom out because this is way too close, way too close. I'll be blurred every time I move my hands in and out. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I have zoomed out a little bit, and it's still making a little bit of blurrage, but let's hope not. All right, so let's find some drawing paper, and we will get this thing started. Okay, so I don't know if I want to do it this way or this way, but I'm going to try to do it a little bigger, but I'm going to have to push this guy out of the picture. So I'm going to have to push him out of the picture. All right, he won't be too far away. Let's get our pencils, clean our glasses, and get going. All right, good enough. Now, the first thing you want to start out with always is the torso. The torso, keeping in mind that your head is going to be big, so you need to have room for your head. And as I say, always do the head last, but in some cases you kind of have to do it like second, almost first sometimes. But usually your torso determines, number one, how big the head is going to be and how much room you're going to have for the head, how much room you need for the head. So like right here, I could have dropped it down a little bit more. I could have made it a little bigger, but I am not. It's basically just to show you how to do this, and this is just shapes. And I'm not going to show you every muscle because I'm assuming that you are still beginners in doing this sort of thing. So I don't want to get your head full of how to do a shape of a muscle. We can give you the basic shape of the muscle, but not, completely muscle. All right, so we have your oval. Not a circle, more of an oval kind of. You can do the egg shape, make it more narrower down the bottom and wider at the top, but I'm just so used to doing kind of an oval. My center line, which is actually right here, you can bring that up and take it down so this is not twisting. But you see how I did this curve? It's got a curve, kind of as much as this curve, so we get a little bit of curve. So from there, I will do my head. I need to find out how big my head is compared to my shoulders. So then I'll do the head. That's about right there. This body might be bigger than the other body, but that's all right. It's just basically showing you how to do it. And if you've noticed, I brought that neck up. So that's kind of going to be the side of the neck somewhat. Yeah, I'm blurring again. Yeah, I'm blurring. I'm blurring. Unblur. Maybe I need a darker paper. Get rid of the yellow and put a blue. So from here, we're going to go across. Now, depends on, are you going to tilt the shoulders? Are you going to tilt the torso? If not, go straight across. If you want to go up, you can go up. Then he's going to be shooting up with the arm down. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. I have to pull out just a little bit more. Let me see. Let's go on. If it blurs again, then I'll pull it back some. So across, remember ring. You need to leave some of this. It's going to be my shoulders. Right up that is going to be my delt. So give it a circle. And remember that, again, I'm doing it again. If your character is turned, that is not going to be outside of this oval. It's going to be inside of this oval. So you're going to bring it in. That has been a habit of mine for the longest time. And when I draw fast, that old habit comes back into play. So it's going to come and you're going to get majority of it in, I guess, majority of this inside the circle. Blue pencil, blue pencil. Who is hiding again? maybe he's not in there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull out some more blue pencils. Is that, nope. My glasses are semi-dirty, so it's hard for me to see. I'm sorry. Is that it? Was that it? No, that wasn't it. This is it's a color pencil, but that's all right. It's blue. I'm not gonna have to photocopy it. So this is going to be mostly inside that circle. All right, so that arm is going to come up, and then doing perspective. Let me get another piece of paper. Move this out of the way before I mess this up. It's the original. Doing foreshortening kind of perspective is kind of like doing this. If you have your torso, am I blurred again? I am. So let me zoom out a little bit more. All right, so there's a point where it will actually jump that lets me know that you're in the danger zone. I know you don't understand it, but that's okay. I understand it. So what was I saying? If you're going to do something like the perspective, we have the large hand going to the small hand, just think of doing something like this. Take this rod and put it through the body, kind of like that. So you know this is going to be your hand, your delt's going to be here, your arm, the other part of your arm, and then let's just say this part, and then he has that part going up. So just kind of remember that, just doing that, doing some type of long pole or bar or something, and you have to keep it round. Remember, so you got to keep it round. So that's kind of the basis of doing something like that. If you're going to do a close-up of one part of the body and the other part, it goes back in perspective. So we have that. Then we're going to have the chest here. Chest is going to go like halfway. So I have my mountain or my cave, the tunnel of wonders. So wherever this stops, I'm going to curve that around there. This is where my chest is going to curve around. Round that off. This is going to come out. It's not going to be flat. It's going to be round out. If you're muscular, the more muscular a person, the more rounded, the ballooned the chest would be. So then I'll say I will have my hand. I usually like to put my hand there. If I'm going to do a shot like this, I put my hand first and I'll connect my arms. And the thing with this, when I started, I really wanted the hand more facing you, where you would see less arms, but as I did it, it just came out a little bit more. So for something like that, and I just saw the way that I can show you. Like if you have this, and it's going to the side, you have both arms straight out to the side, it's going to be even. The more you turn it, the more it's going to start going back, or the more, yes, the more this is going to start going back in perspective until you put it up here. Until it becomes closer to you. That's almost the same, Brian. Yeah. Until it is, let's try to do two more. Kind of like, and that's going to be the same too. Until it's like facing you. Facing you meaning like this, and then you won't see, let's just do this, just a bad example. The other side, and here's your chest, here's your what's name, and this is going to be the back side of that arm. So this is going to be the hand. How does the hand go? Square. Sometimes when, I don't want to say dyslexia, but sometimes I would throw the wrong hands in the wrong position. Right hand for the left hand for the right hand. And here's his gun. And you really won't see anything because that, draw it a little better, Brian. I know you understand it, but can they understand it? And here's the gun right here, whether the gun is straight in front of you or whether you can see a little bit from the side. All that is determined by the angle. So as I'm saying, you really won't see anything. You may see some of the forearm because the forearm is going to, unless you have it like straight, the forearm is going to, when you relax it a little bit, turn to the side. Unless it's straight, when you relax it a little bit, the elbow is going to drop down. And a lot of times when people aim gun, they don't aim it straight like that, rigid. They kind of have it just a little bit relaxed for the recoil or to adjust the position. So you're going to have that. So it's going to drop down like this. It's going to, that forearm is kind of drop down, and then that bicep is going to go up toward that delt. So you won't see that. Let's just say this is my center line. Here's my head. Here's my neck. Here is my collarbone right here. So you know where the collarbone ends, the delt is going to be. So if I had another color, so my delt is going to be like right here. So my bicep is going to be from here to here, connecting that. And it's just going to be a circle. And you're going to have your oval. And then you're going to have your triangle in front of that. The triangle's like right here. So you're not going to see stuff because it's going to be covering up. So that's going to end up looking kind of like this, and like this. And then here's my wrist for my hand. So the more I shift that over, the less you will see, because here's your hand, here's my thumb, here's your fingers, your, let's do this. Your forearm is going to go down and around like this. My bicep is going to be maybe like right about in here somewhere. And then my delt is going to be like right here. And let me do this, make this hand a little better. Here's my thumb and here's my gun. Like that. So remember, it's going to be like an oval in front of an oval in front of an oval. The more you cover up the part that's behind it, the more forward it's facing. Like, yeah, if I'm aiming, like if I have my gun here and I'm aiming, but I aim and start to bring that gun up to in front of you, you're not going to see all of this. This is going to be covered up. And then, as I say, again, depending on the angle that you are drawing, you might not see anything. And if I stuck a gun in my hand, that gun takes precedence over that arm. So you want to put more detail into that gun. Nobody's really going to look at this unless you have like some straps or a cool watch or something like that on. But this character, I'm going to turn him into one of my characters. So if you're dressing a character, and a lot of times with people that have guns, they are dressed in something. So you don't have to worry too much about the muscles. So we have this, and remember not to make your torso too long. That's just something that you're going to have to kind of get used to. So I'm going to bring this straight down. This is going to be my tuna can. So I don't want it here. I don't want it straight here. I'm going to bring it in depending on his waist, or his waist, how narrow this person's waist is. So if I look at it like this, I'll say, okay, he's kind of thick. I want to make him a little thinner. I'll bring it in a little bit more. So basically that's just this. That is just doing this. That's just stacking this ball on top of this, and then putting a house, upside down house, on top of that. And remember, you have your center line. So that's going to determine where the roof is going to be at. And then you have your legs, which are just ovals. So your legs are going to come up here. So this part is going to be your buttocks, really. I just had some potato chips, so that little dry potato chip is still in my throat. Like that. Then you can slim out that waist. Take that lat down if need be. But I'm saying, looking at this guy, even with the blue, is kind of long. Kind of. It could be tall. But the whole thing is, you don't want this to be too long. I mean, you can adjust the size of everything else according to this, because this is the main piece. So I'll do this. This is going to be my love handle obliques. So the crotch is going to be about right there. Remember, that's still going to be in the center. And then my legs are going to be there. But if you stack those three shapes on top of each other, take a look at it, see if it's too long. And if it's too long, then you can adjust it. That's easier to draw the shapes than to draw detail and find out, oh, I have to erase all that detail. So with that, I'll say, okay, it's my chest here, there. So we have this, your obliques go from, it's like this, shape like this. Remember, you're gonna have your abs coming down, and this is gonna be the part of the oblique on the other side, and this is gonna go straight down. So once you have this, you kind of know your obliques fit right up under that circle, like that. And then they go down into the crotch. So when you do that, just think about drawing a belt. So here is my torso. I got my torso the size, I've got my chest right, I got everything good. So I'm just gonna put a fat belt on this guy. And you can make it square or rectangle, just flat in the beginning, because you're gonna eventually change it up to look right or better. So you can do that just to give it that size that you need. Then you say to yourself, okay, put my house, and you know you're not gonna go way down here with your I call this thing a house so many times I forget the name. Uses your hips, your waist, your hips, that I forget it. You know, I think automatically you know how big you need your hips. So just put that square there. Then you can come back and say, okay, this is my this is the tunnel, this is the abs, this is basically the rib cage, and right here it comes in because it has to take that shape for your obliques. So it's going to come in, it's going to come in here, and it's going to go down there, and you have what's left over for your obliques. Right, so pretty simple, pretty easy. It's drawing the same shape over and over and over and over. If you had to draw the letter A 100 times, at the end of that 100th time, you'd be simple to draw A. So if you're drawing the body 100 times, then it's simple to draw that body. It's just, or should I say that part of that body 100 times. It will become very simple to draw it because you've drawn it so much. And that's all drawing is just repetition. It's repetition. It's just like anything, driving or playing a game or whatever. Singing, it's just repetition. The more you do it, the better. The easier it becomes to you, to where you don't even have to think about doing it. You can just do it. So, yeah. So for those of you who say, oh, I'll never be able to draw, it's just time. That's all it is. Put time into it. Time into it. Stop, saying you can't and start doing. All right, so here's my arm. So your delt's going to come up like this. Your delt, your delt, yeah. If I can't get the names right, I'm going to stop. So your chest is going to come up like this, right up into that delt, into that arm. So as again, here is that oval. So my delt is going to be shaped like this. My chest is going to come up here this way. This delt is going to be formed like this. So that's my chest. And then you have this indentation here that goes right into your collarbone. Collarbone kind of comes and stops, and there's an indentation or a separation of your delts here. So your bicep is going to go all the way back under there and then kind of separate. Your tricep is heavier than your bicep, so your tricep is going to kind of go down below that. So you'll have this separation line here. And then again, it depends on how much you are turning your arm. That determines how long this is going to be. So if I brought them in a little bit more, and this is where I ended up making this too long. So what I did was I just curved this here. So I just kind of curved that there. And this is kind of, it's got to be bigger. So that's why I say I always do my hand. I always do my hand first. Kind of how big I want that hand. Making that square. And then since you're going to see some of the back of that, I'll do this in blue and just completely screw it up. There's always a box. That box. Keeping in perspective. Anytime you do a box, you got to have perspective. That box has got to go back. Same way when I do that gun That gun has to go back in perspective as well. However, the size of that gun I want. So if I'm seeing the bottom, that means my eye line is somewhere here. So if you have something that's going back, you can go back until those like points touch. And this would be my eye line right here. Same thing. If you see a picture of somebody's box or whatever, and it's like this or however, you just go back, bring these lines back until they converge, and then you have your vanishing point or your eye line. Both vanishing point and eye line. So, all right. So I have this arm, as I talked about before. This arm is narrow at the wrist, and it gets fat here. So whenever I do something like that, I'll bring it like this, and then I'll bring it out like that. And this one's just going to kind of come around like that. So again, here's my tricep. It goes down to that arm, and I think I've inked this because there's a whole lot of lines going on. Now with this hand and this gun, you have to kind of have the square matching the square, shall we say, even though your fingers, how can I say that? Your fingers are going to wrap around the gun. Let me get my little it's still out. My example. It's been a long time since I took this little thing off. This is my SOCOM airsoft. I think, oh no, tightens up here, and I think it slides off. I think, or does it tighten up here and slide off? Give me a second. I haven't messed with this thing in a while. It's just been hanging on my wall collecting dust. What is this? Is this an on-off switch? I think it's this one. Okay. Yeah, it's a screw. So makes it a little easier without the extra stuff. Your hand, let's see this. Whenever you aim, you see these knuckles here? These knuckles are going to be pointed at your target. Your knuckles, if I have the gun in my hand, these knuckles are going to be pointed at it. So they kind of, I don't want to say messes up the square, but somehow it kind of messes up the square. See, so these knuckles are going to be pointed right at wherever that gun is pointed. These knuckles are going to be pointed there too. So it's going to not be flat. It's going to come out almost like a pyramid and go back in. So you kind of have to have, like, say your knuckles going to be here. It's going to go out, back in. So that means this would have to be pointed right where that is. So this gun is going to have to come in like this. I used to draw guns, think if I pulled it out more, it does it, but no, it's the same thing with a gun. It's long until you point it. It gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and it gets pointed. So the less you show of the sides, the more it's pointed at you. So even if it doesn't look like it's past the fingers, because this is like way past my fingers. But if I point it like this, you really won't know how far it is past my fingers. So don't kind of worry about that. Don't worry too much about that. So again, back in perspective, and then you have to have your, however that goes, the handle. That's kind of high, but you know, I'm gonna go with that anyway because it's I don't want to put it down. Put it down, Brian. Put it down. Put the gun down as well. Like that. Put the gun down. This thing is kind of heavy. Again, no eraser. So what you're going to have is you're going to have that one finger. Let's see if I can do red. You're going to have that one finger that is over that trigger. If I do this in ink, it's going to mess up because I'm not going to get it right the first time. So you have that other finger. Let's try it in ink. If it messes up, then I can't go back because it's inked. So this is going to be the joint. So this is where it's going to turn. So you have your one finger here below this one. If you have a trigger guard, your trigger guard is going to be like this and going back like that. So you're going to have the one finger going through into that, holding that trigger like that. And just use, where's my, I almost drew on my paper. Just use like these, just for the time being, just your regular ovals. And then you put another one on top like that. So you have to have room for that other finger to be under the trigger guard. And since this is where your knuckles are going to be right here and here, you have this one. You have, I think they go in. You have, I think they do go in because they're gonna curve. They're gonna curve down like this. You have that one. You have this one, and then you have this one. So at that point, then you have where your other joints meet at, like that. And then of course your thumb is going to be here, and just add your thumb as a more of a square kind of oval, kind of like that. Then your thumb is going to have this little joint. It comes in, you're gonna have this little joint that goes back and then down. So again, you just, and when I draw hands, I just use pieces of shapes until I get what I need, and then I make it look better. So it's gonna be like that and like that. And depending on where the butt of the handle of the gun is, let's just say you can make that square as well. So if this is like this, that has to be like that as well, I guess. Some are leaning down, but just for the sake of video, I'm gonna have to try to make it kind of square. And then that would be my shape of the gun handle. And then this one, I would, because it is forward more, I would make this bigger or wider, larger opening to give it that, it's closer to me look. It gives it that it's closer to me look. So again, coming down here, this is going from the wrist back down. It's kind of, what is with me in the word kind of? I don't know. Because it's not all the way. It's kind of. You're gonna have your bicep, your tricep. It's gonna drop down. Then you're gonna have your delt like that. So the back arm, because it is turned, you're gonna have that delt, part of that delt showing. How did I have it? I have it up. Close this because I don't want to mess up my original piece. So your knuckles are going to be right here. Okay, so let's take the knuckles off just a little bit, because your knuckles are not going to be flat against this can. And that's something I used to do too. My fingers would start right here, and there's like no room for the actual can to fit. So take it off. So it's going to come in. Your fingers are not going to bend straight in. Your fingers are going to angle. They're going to kind of angle in. See, this one comes down, this one kind of straight, this one's up, and this one's up too. So just remember that. Remember that. You're going to have part here, and you can curve them the way that you choose to curve them. If you want to bring them in more, it's kind of more dramatic the more in you bring it. And then you have the other half like that, and it gives you that I'm holding something look. And at that point, they are still separated. It's not like you're drawing the knuckles, and then here's your fingers. Each one is a separate entity, and then you, depending on the angle, one may be in front of the other. Like that. So that thumb, come on, Brian, you can do better with that thumb. Draw that actual piece, then you can do the rest. So this finger is going to go out, and then it's going to actually come in a little bit. Depends on again, the angle. Here's my trigger guard for my gun. Here's my trigger, and here's my gun. So just remember, the most important part is these knuckles are going to face whatever I'm aiming at. Even if I have a sword or something, it's going to face that person or wherever the, yeah. It's going to face it. So if it's facing like this way. This gun is facing this way. You can never do that, and your gun is like this way. It's not going to work unless your handle rotates. So yeah, just kind of remember that. Hopefully you understood that. And palm, and then goes down, and again, a little fatter there. Bicep is actual. This is the smallest part of your arm, your bicep, because the bicep comes, and then you have this little triangle here, and then your tricep goes down like that, because there's a muscle right here that comes up and around, and it forms this here. I said I wasn't going to show you guys muscles. Don't even skip that part. Just get this, and then get that, and then get this, and then you're good to go. Because remember, just like this is going to do the same thing. It's going to come around, but if the chest is in front of it, you won't see it. But it does go down into the chest here, and then there's your collarbone. So with that, let me just quickly this out. Sometimes you don't want so much lat, or I'll bring the lats in, depending on the type of person. Depends on. I use that a lot. Depends on my abs. It comes down here. Remember, this is going to go like that. It's going to be my love handles. This is going to be the buttocks. This is going to be the legs, the crotch here, because the crotch is here. You're going to have more over here and less over here, or just bring it up at like an angle. Bring that up at an angle. Here's my leg. Here's my other leg. So if I brought this is going to be my waist right here. You won't see too much, because your stomach is going to be here, and you're going to see just this little teeny part of the love handle right here. And then you have your leg. This is going to be my hip right here. Well, because I'm looking at the red line. This is throwing me off. I'm supposed to be using the blue line. Like this, and then your leg comes there. So let's do this head real quick. This head he's going to be looking this way. You can have him look whatever way you want to. We have this. This is where my chin is going to be, about right here, usually touching this circle, what's left of the circle. Square here, go up. Where is my chin? Right here, which determines where my mouth is. Come up, straight up, curve around, and then that. Then you're going to have your skull like that. It's kind of like drawing the letter P, and I don't like messing up my example papers, but it's kind of like that. Doing that letter P. So if I curved it off here, and I put my eyes here, here's my nose, here's my mouth, and my neck can go back here. So it's like drawing the letter P. Pretty simple. Always start with your shapes. They don't teach you this stuff in high school. Only Brian's channel. This is going to come to where that shoulder is. So quick shoulder tutorial. Here is that. Here is this. This is left over from the shoulder. Like that. This is V. That's what I was trying to get. This V here for your neck. Top of this point right here comes up and stops at that circle, comes up and stops at that line, and it goes straight up right there. So if I put my head on it, this is going to go right to the back, depending on the turning of your head. Depending on, I need to call my channel that. Depends on art lessons. Like that. So you're going to have this straight down into that neck, which is at that point, curves into this little part right here in the center of your collarbone. This one goes back to this. So your chin could cover it. It could not. Depends on the angle. There's that word again, depends. So we have the flat part of my chin here. I'm going to bring this in a little bit. Kind of the way this curves in, I curve this in just a little bit. So where are my eyes? I'm going to put my eyes here. So from this point to this point, I'm going to bring the line down. This point to up here, bring my line down. You might not have too much of this visible, which is fine. You're going to have to play with it to see just how much you want to have. Here's my ear on this side line right here. You already know your eyes go here. Come down. So half and half. And the halfway point is my nose, which is going to go in front of that line. And then half and half is where my mouth is going to go, which is actually going to be right here. Which is actually going to be right, unless it's tilted, then you're gonna drop it down. So I'm gonna bring my nose up just a smidgen, right there, and here's my bottom lip right here. Unless the guy is smiling, I'll end my lips. What does it say? The center of the eye is the end of the mouth. He's looking kind of sad. Your nose can be as big as you want. It goes back a little bit. Let's ink that just because that's a goofy looking nose. So what I'll do is I'll just do a line like this, line like that, kind of that anime line, and then just a curved line like that, which dip down a little bit too much, and then curve up if I want to get more detail. And if I still want to get detail, I'll put a little bit of bridge right there, which goes up to the eyebrow, over the eyebrows. If I wanted to go all the way, I can connect it, which I usually don't. This is going to go in like this to the point where the eye is, and then out a little bit for the chin, and then you can curve it around here. It goes in toward the mouth and back out where the chin curves around, up. Here's where my mouth is. Keep it on that center line. Chin. The chin is a little long, but that's okay. And then goes up, as I say, with the ear. The head is behind the ear. The back of the skull is behind the ear. This comes up. And then you just have to be careful how big you want the person's head. And then the neck comes down. Here is my shoulder, my other shoulder, which are your traps. And they go behind, they're shaped like this, and they actually go behind the neck. So you're going to get this kind of like little shape that goes up. Because here's your neck, your traps go like, draw the traps, Brian, they go like this. It goes like right up behind that neck. Here's this, it goes up behind that neck. So your neck is not much. It's just a little scrawny little thing, but it's your traps that make it look wide. And of course you have your Adam's apple, and that goes out there. There's that V again, or that little dip, separate the chest. You don't always have to connect your lines like this. I can do like this, and it still look muscular without, having to connect. You don't have to draw all the abs. And especially, well, since I say you're going to put clothes on the guy, so I wouldn't even, if you're going to put clothes on, I wouldn't even do any ribs here, there, and everywhere. So yeah. That is your basics for that position. Now, what I'm going to do is put clothes on this guy. But before I do that, let's see if I can show you what I was saying earlier. If I want to have my gun here, this is my gun. I'll give it just a little bit of turn going toward the back. This is my hand holding that gun. These are my knuckles right here. I'm not even going to draw that. So you get a little bit of that. So this is going to have to come like this. Da, 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 da. So it's way up here this time. Using the gun, my vanishing point or the eye line is right here. So let's just say this is my gun. That. Here is my one finger. So the other finger, this is the knuckle. This is that knuckle part right here. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be my thumb right here. This is why I don't kind of sketch with pens. I'm not a pen sketcher person. So if I do the forearm, it's going to come this way. This little piece is flat piece. And then you're going to have this piece that jumps out. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this circle right here. Take it all the way down and back around like that. So you're not going to see too much of the bicep. I'm going to raise that bicep up a little bit. So you're just going to see this little bit of a turn, and you're going to see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the 5th finger. I was wondering what happened to the other guy's finger. It just looks kind of naked. like an alien or something. And if you want to see some of the butt of the gun, you can. But with this one, I would have shown the bottom, just some of the bottom of the gun, like that, because it is kind of raised up, which would have brought my eye line down. Because you see some of the bottom, so my eye line would have been like here somewhere, and then that would have been, and that helps when you're drawing background. If I'm gonna draw a car or something like that, I know where my eye line is, just because the points of the gun, I can't think of that word right now. Connect. I can't think of it. It might be here, down here. So yeah, so now you know everything else you draw is going to have to fit on that circle, on that vanishing point. You know, if the vanishing point is here and I want something over here. So yeah, anytime you draw anything square-ish, and the word just came right into my mind, but it ran out, where they come together, and there's a word for that. Yeah, there's a word for that. And this is on a whole different plane, because but you're not going to use that. You're just going to ignore that. So yeah, I think that's about it for drawing this particular person. And if I put the gun in front of him, Brian, you just keep going, because I'm a teacher. To put the gun like right here. Here's my hand. Let's see this. Let's do this. Let's get a fat one so that you can distinguish the ones from the one. Put my hand right here. I still would show a little bit of this, and then round that like that. And you're not going to see that bicep, but you will see that shoulder right there. So as I say, once it comes in, I'll do it this way. Once it comes in, you're going to see less of the arm, more of the hand, and less of the arm. So yeah, the square, and remembering whatever you point at, here's your knuckles right here. Not knuckles, this is the first bend, the first joint. Going to be here. And then they're going to come around that, whatever it's holding, whether it be a gun or a sword. And that thumb is going to just be that little square on the side where you have your fingers. Brian, you are just screwing that one up. Let's put all of them, because it could be a sword or something. And then maybe some of the palm, and then he could be holding a sword. And I'm not pushing down on my paper. That's why it's looking kind of crazy like that. Because you do have another extra joint here, so you can do this, like this, and then put that other joint in there. And a lot of times people just shadow that. And your thumb comes around. You may see some of this. You may not, depending on the angle. There's that depends on again. Yeah. So I think that's probably the most important part of the hand, is that this piece, where's my gun? Put it on the floor. This piece is going to be pointed. These fingers, these knuckles are going to be pointed. These are your knuckles. These joints are going to be pointed at whatever. Whether you're holding a sword or whatever, these joints are always going to be pointed. So if you just start out with that square, for a hand, especially pointing, and then say, I want to put them over here, I want to put it over here, so right here in the center, this is that first set of that first bend, and then bend that down, in, bend that one up, and bend that one up. And then if you need to, you have that second bend right here, which we can go around a little more, makes it go around the object a little bit more. Here's the sword. Remember, all these are separate pieces. And your thumb is just a little piece of square here. And you may see some of the palm, you may not. depending on if you're looking under the hand. If you're seeing an angle under the hand, you're going to see a little bit of that. Then you can put the rest of the sword coming out or whatever you're holding. Lightsaber. No, you just did not just do a lightsaber sound effect. Yes, I did. So I just ruined my example paper, but it's about teaching. Get it in your head, you'll get it right. Here's a little cap, because this is Darth Vader's. Here's a little point. Darth Vader did not have the points, Brian. He did not have this particular one. A little belt loop, because they, well, you know, got to have the belt loop to hook it to your belt. Anyway, getting carried away. So from here, showed you the hand, showed you the angles. It's simple, oval, tuna can, upside down house, ovals for the legs, circle, oval, cylinder, head is a head. So now I'm going to dress this character. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to dress it because all these muscles are going to get covered up. So I spent all that time trying to do the muscles and the ribs and so forth. So just because I didn't, if you take this and you go to the point, this point here, you take that and you kind of curve it around. This is where your lats are going to start, and this is where your serratus anterior, I believe it's called, will go. Just follow that line, make a fang, you know, like that, fang, claws, whichever, what do you want to call it. And then you have that, and the rest of your ribs go around there. But you got to get it right, or your guy looks hungry, or, you know, so yeah, get it right. There's nothing under here, because that's all muscle and meat. So yeah, and these connects, because your rib cage goes. You're still teaching, I know. I'm just like this video, because I'm just teaching my tail off. Your bone, how does it go? I have a little skull right here. There's like a flat bone here. Flat bone. It goes up to your collarbone. And these go around. Let me turn this around because these are actually like this. And they kind of connect to that little flat bone right here. And then it comes down like this. A little flat bone comes down like this. And then you have one here, and then you have another one there, you have another one there, you have another one. I don't know how many rib bones you actually have, but this is how it goes. Look it up. Computer, how many rib bones on the torso?
Here's something I found on the web. According to awesometoyblog.com, it includes 13 vinyl figures in all, plus 6 hard-to-find bone-chilling variants that feature bones painted on the exteriors of the figures.
Wow, wow. Computer, how many bones are on the rib cage, the anatomy? Try again.
Here's something I found on the web. According to wikipedia.org, the rib cages are composed of 12 pairs of ribs plus the sternum for a total of 25 separate bones.
There you go. You learned some knowledge today. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Brian. You're welcome. So, yeah, this is how this goes. And this is like this. Collarbone, collarbone. And then back behind here, you have your shoulder blades back here. And then you have your arms are hooked to these somehow. Your little bones are hooked to these somehow. And I said I was just going to open a channel, just a little private channel to teach people how to draw without having YouTube restrictions and all that crap. So I can start teaching more about women. But yeah, there you go. If you can make heads or tails out of this, you are a genius. So I'm going to end it now and with this, and I'll come back with my character with all these muscles covered up. Okay, back in a second. All right, here we are with the final drawing. And once again, I have to say, I forgot to make a photocopy of it before I put the clothes on him. So better luck next time. All right, so this is one reason I say don't try to do your muscles right off the bat, especially if you're putting clothes on the person. So where are the muscles now? All those good abs and, you know, that big thick chest and the bicep muscles are covered up. So the fact that I actually did all the muscles was a waste of time. It wasn't really a waste of time because I did it to show you guys, but if you're trying to do muscles before you put a costume or especially clothes on them, then you're wasting time. So get your form right first, get your proportions and so forth, then start to put your clothes on it, and then you don't have to worry about muscles. Yes, it's good to know where they are, but don't go crazy, especially if you're putting clothes on it. All right, so that's going to be it for this video, and I was going to color it too in Photoshop, but I already missed my one deadline or date. Usually Sunday and Thursdays when I try to upload. I already missed the Sunday, so I'm going to put this one up Thursday. So if you're seeing it on Thursday, that's the date it's supposed to go up. If you're seeing it after Thursday, then you're late. All right, so as I said, that's going to be it for this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully I'll get that one up on time. All right, keep drawing. See you guys later. Oh, subscribe. Give me a like and a comment if you got the time. But subscribe. Tell a friend. All right, I'm out.